Blessings and welcome. I am Tuesday May Thomas. Welcome to my YouTube station. Thank you so much for subscribing and for sharing my videos. I do have a playlist for Reiki and meditations. In fact, I just published a really powerful third eye and pineal gland activation meditation, which I will put a link to up here. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with your weekly tarot energy forecast for June 23rd to June 30th of 2017. I use the Osho Zen Tarot deck, and we're going to start to shuffle. We're going to call in our angels and guides, all light beings, ascended masters, divine loved ones perhaps that have passed. A whole bunch of cards just fell out. I'm guided to use them. Pardon me. Okay, we have a lot. We're going to use them. Sometimes it's as simple as that. So I'm going to put the other cards down. And we're going to lay these out. We have Playfulness. Beautiful. Oh, remember this one from last week or the week before? Compromise. Guilt. We'll go over that. The Lovers. Ooh. Thunderbolt, which is the Tower and the traditional tarot. Suppression. Maturity. And Beyond Illusion. Okay, so I'm going to take a moment and set these up, and we're going to have a look here to see where we are at. Beautiful. Okay, it's coming together. Okay. So may I sign myself into this tarot card reading so that anyone who tunes in, whether it's just for a minute or for the full reading, receives what they need from it, myself included, that we all receive the messages and the divine guidance that we may be tuning in to receive for this time phase, June 23rd to June 30th of 2017. So, right away, we have the Playfulness and the Compromise card. Okay. So look at Playfulness. This is so beautiful. It is a card of fire, a card of energy, a card of action and doing, yet it is the doing that is in alignment with the divine feminine. And you know what? I'm just going to make sure we're not even recording. Look at that. Yes, we are. Okay. Because I did that a couple weeks ago. It was like having a Mercury retrograde. Just checking. Okay. Back to the reading. So Playfulness, this is the energy, the power, the activation of doing, of manifesting, of being, of bringing to earth your mission. Remember last week, again, I'll put a little link up here. You can review last week's tarot card reading if you didn't get to see it. The emphasis is that we are on a mission, and not to forget your mission, but at the same time to tune into your higher self for divine counsel and guidance on what the next step or what the next phases of your mission is or are. And this is you. Now, you have your download. You've been given it. You've created those correct conditions to receive the download. And now what you're doing is you're learning how to be in balance with that masculine energy of doing and being and placing your visions and being your mission here in the world. And at the same time, with a divine balance of the feminine energy. The feminine energy is symbolized by the stardust, by those white, sparkly little angel fairy dust kind of little fractals that are extending out from this image's hands. And if you look really close, this is someone dressed in a clown outfit with clown makeup on, in a back bend, and just really open-hearted, open energy. They've realized what they're here to do, and they're not making any big deal. They're just fucking doing it. They're just being it. They're embodying it. And it's all about playfulness. And it's about not caring what other people think, not caring what other people say. It's putting on your clown outfit, being playful, being innocent on your mission, and knowing that it's the journey, not the destination. So mission, we might have all these goals that we want to attain, we want to reach, and we're like, okay, and I'll be happy when that happens, and I'll finally do this and that when that happens. Playfulness is saying, be that now. Remember last week the message was, how can you embody to be her now, to be him now? That is the version of yourself that you know you are. That version of yourself on a mission that knows what it has to do when it wakes up in the morning, that knows the goals, the day-to-day routines that need to be done in order to build the appropriate momentum so that you can then do that momentum, plant your seeds, be in the world, and let go because you know you're taking care of yourself. Be true to yourself, be authentic, and then learn to be playful with it in the world. And the thing about the little fairy dust particles that are sprinkling out from this character's hands are that those are the seeds of your mission. Those are the seeds of your authentic self that are just being cast wherever you go, because you're learning to trust. You're learning to trust your core, your gut, your instincts, your higher self, and you're bringing that down to earth, and it's got a fiery, juicy energy. People are going to be attracted to your energy this week. They're going to be like, what are you doing that I need to do more of? Where are your workshops? Can I hang out with you? There's going to be a certain aura and energy, because that lightness, that playfulness, that is a high frequency vibration. If you know people that are just really happy and very light, you want to hang out with them, you want to be around them. And if they are facilitators of any kind, those are some of the most beautiful and powerful workshops or retreats to go to, because that energy has a ripple effect. Well, all energy has a ripple effect, but it rubs off on you, and they create a blueprint of how to embody that in the world, and you take that home and you learn how to be that in your authentic self. So this week, all about playfulness. And remember, so here we had this card a couple weeks ago, compromise. The two sumo wrestlers, they're touching almost toe-to-toe, they're touching the tips of their pinkies, and they've made an agreement. They've made a compromise. And remember, this had to do with people, places, and things in our path that maybe we're done with, we need to complete. But because of the divine interconnection of all things, some things cannot be completed just like that. There needs to be a little bit of a dance, a little bit of a few steps until that full fruition of completion has taken place. And so the message with that card a couple weeks ago was to make your compromise in integrity with the truth in your heart. But once you've made it, don't look back, don't complain about it, just trust it, trust your decision. So these two sumo wrestlers, right, pardon me, they've agreed on some level, and I always like to think about that they've agreed. They're like, okay, we're going to fight. They're dressed, they have their swords, and they're like, okay, we're going to fight, we're going to have our little brawl here, but we're going to promise, we're going to make a compromise, nobody chops anyone's head off. And they're like, man, I really want to chop some heads off. And I'm totally being sarcastic and funny here. I hope so. I hope I'm being funny. But just to get the message across, there's an agreement made. When they go to fight and do their battle, they're not chopping each other's heads off. They're going to use their other skills that they've learned. And they know, they have honored, they've agreed, even though it might not be like the full fight that they wanted to come into. And not to say that your stream of life energy has anything to do with violence or fighting. This is just simply an example and a metaphor because it's in the card. But they've agreed not to do certain things, not to cut a wrist, not to cut a foot off, not to chop a head off, so that they're going to have to use different kinds of skills as they draw their sword, as they come into battle with each other. So that's what that card was about. That card was about us agreeing to make compromise with certain people, places, and things. So as we move forward down the path, we are certainly shape-shifting and moving into greater authenticity and moving towards that greater realm of the truth that we see for ourselves. But what gets to happen is we get to learn who we are in those uncomfortable places of compromise. And what that does is that brings out different skills. It allows us to tap a different part of our person and bring that down to earth and manifest that and share through that way. And often these are through channels and talents and skills that we have that are underground, that we don't know we even have. So it's exciting. So just that's a little reminder from those couple weeks ago. Stay true to that compromise. Be a person of honor, right? Be a person of honor. Be a person of your word. If you need to readjust the contract, simply connect with this person, place, or thing that you've made it with, and perhaps as you're guided, see if they're up for a recalibration of the contract, a recalibration of the compromise, if that really feels in your heart. But otherwise, stay true to it and trust it and trust it and trust it. Okay. Now, what we have below playfulness and compromise are guilt and suppression. So Suppression, this is the opposite. This is the fire card that's under playfulness. This is what can happen to us when we do not honor our truth, when we are holding back, and when we're living too much in the mind, thinking too much about things, and letting the heaviness of the world get us down. Look at those thick, thick ropes and encroaching around this person. And the clouds above their head represents the mind and too many thoughts in the mind. And all of this veins, this central nervous system, everything is red and inflamed, right? Inflamed. It's a very, very different frequency from playfulness, as you can see, right? This person is in a backbend, hearts up to the heavens, they're free, they're open, they're sharing their love and their light, and this person is having a very difficult time sharing their love and light. The heaviness of their mind, of their thoughts, of the world is getting them down. They are tied and they are bound to those heavy, heavy frequencies. So remember, if we don't use and activate the fire in our life in balanced ways, in alignment with our truth, it can burn us out. And remember last week was it last week or the week before? That was a huge part of the reading at the very end was exhaustion, was burning the candle at both ends, was just overdoing it and not taking enough time for self-care. So you're called this week to keep that in balance, right? The fire is on. It was summer solstice yesterday. So the heat is up energetically. And here in our hemisphere, if you're in the States, it's summertime. So the heat is on and we get to learn how to move with integrity, with that fire within ourselves, and to honor that truth. Your fire is your Kundalini, is your libido, is your life force energy, is your ability to see with clarity and penetrate through the veil of Maya, through the veil of illusion. If you're not doing that, this is what's going to happen. All the truth within you that's ready to be shared in the world and extended out very lightly and innocently begins to contain itself within you. And it does affect the physical body. It affects the mind and the body, creating a very, very difficult place to be. The world is not a happy place for this camper right here. So avoid this. Take care of yourself. Do those things that serve you, because right next to this, is guilt and thunderbolt. And first of all, speaking of guilt, see that gray diamond with the 8 in it? This is a card of the mind. Any card that has the gray is a card of the mind. And this person is surrounded by guilty thoughts. And look again, there's these hands, these claws, just clawing at their head. Their thoughts are driving them crazy. Crazy enough where they're just like, stop! They can't handle it. But it's all in their own mind. It's all in your own mind. So if you're feeling that this week, again, the guidance is to do those practices that allow you to come to a relaxed state of being, to come to the best level of peacefulness you can within you. One must learn to master their mind. In my book that I'm going to be releasing in the fall, The Reiki Apprentice, and some of you have the first edition, which was called Confessions of a Spiritual Apprentice. It's out of print now. It's going to be relaunched in the fall as The Reiki Apprentice, and it's my story of my spiritual comeuppance from the age of around 5 or 6 up until my early 30s. And guilt was a major, major, major part of my life. What I learned is the most important thing that we can do is to learn how to master our mind. No one else can do it for you. And your thoughts intimately connect you with the universe and the entire universal strata matrix of collective consciousness. What you think plugs you into the greater strata of that thought and of every single person, place, and thing that is generating a frequency or a thought in that direction through all time and space. If you believe in past lives, then beyond and backward as far as you can possibly go. So if that makes sense, the idea here is to be gentle on yourself. If you look above that turbulence of the clouds, there are these beautiful white flowers and this violet, beautiful purple sky. That symbolizes your crown chakra. That symbolizes that no matter how dark and how heavy and how hard a time of change, of healing, of passing can be, the light is always there. Your ability to plug into source, to God source, to your higher self, to that higher power, to the love and light of the universe is always present. You choose it. You choose it. Now, there's a powerful aspect of the tar body, which I talk about in my Reiki teachings, and a lot of this is in my book. And The tar body is the light body's toxic twin. I wrote an article on it. It is at my website, tuesdaymaythomas.com, in the publications link, in the publications page. I have several articles there. Feed the light body, starve the tar body. And the idea is that when we get caught in these cycles of guilt, of shame, of pain, of dread, of self-sabotage, of self-hate, of self-doubt, of just all that stuff that comes up, all that is a collection of toxic energies, whether they be mental, emotional, physical, or environmental, that have collected in the body that have not had a chance to be processed or healed and resolved and dissolved. And sometimes a huge collective of that energy becomes really kind of caked in and baked in, and it begins to block the channels within us that freely and naturally channel divine life force energy, that allow us to feel open, that allow us to feel playful in the world, that allow us to feel that we belong in the world, that there's a place for us, that it's okay and it's safe to be playful. Now, be mindful, be gentle on yourself. If you're feeling guilty about something, forgive yourself. Start a practice of forgiveness. Look in the mirror and just tell yourself, I forgive you. You know, let yourself go through the process. Every healing is an initiation. You're not wrong. You're not bad for going through it. It's a part of an initiation of every spiritual apprentice. So know that there's another side to it. The beautiful flowers, the love and light energy, that God consciousness, unity consciousness energy is present there. You just get to breathe and create the correct conditions within yourself so that you can remember that you are already healed and that all is well in all of creation, no matter what it looks like in the third dimension. This is just one dimension. Remember that. You are multidimensional. You exist infinitely through all dimensions, through all time and space, and beyond it, actually. Maybe that's for another conversation, though. What this leads us to is Thunderbolt. So this is what's going on here. This is the Tower. This is a major arcana card in this deck. And if you look at this person, what's happening is you are on fire. Your Kundalini, your Shakti, your life force energy is raising up. You are activating. And look at right along the spinal column through the chakras, the fire is lit. Your Kundalini is lit. And it's pretty deep. Look at these bodies just flailing from the tower right within us, from the spinal column. This individual at the same time is sitting in meditation, and there's lightning bolts zapping you as you go through this thunderbolt of transformation. And this is definitely, Kundalini is rising. Kundalini is on the rise in the planet, in the universe, and through our actual individual DNA. And the thing is, if you're watching this, then you already are on your own path of spiritual apprenticeship with yourself, with your practice, your modalities in life, whatever it is that you're guided to do and how you do it. If you're not creating a regular, daily, or at least a weekly, some kind of a practice to honor that beautiful, spiritual, multidimensional part of you, and you don't have a way to release those toxins, the painful memories, the emotional scars, the toxins that build up in the body, the fear, the anger, the jealousy, the guilt, the blame, the shame, all that stuff. If you don't have a regular practice, a journaling, a Reiki, yoga, going into nature, any of that stuff to help clear the filters, to help release, what happens is when the planets align and the divine timing is up, your transformation, as that thunderbolt hits you and your Kundalini, boom, gets awakened, it's going to be, what I always say is you're either going to be dragged by the energy, by the changing energy in the universe, or you're going to be levitated and lifted up gracefully through these changes. So the idea here, meditate, meditate, meditate. Again, I'll put that link again right here for the third eye and the pineal gland. It has some shamanic undertones, that meditation. And there are some other meditations on my site in my meditation playlist, and I promise I'm going to be making more and more. But that general practice of learning to be still, of learning to be okay, to be quiet, to listen to the truth within and connect with your higher self, connect with that higher power is so important moving forward so that you can receive clear channelings from your angels, from your divine guides, and from Source. Source is here to help you. Your higher self is here to help you. But as long as you're stuck in the past, stuck in your mind, really just laying it thick and heavy on yourself, you're creating stops, you're creating suppression, you're creating bondage and binds so that you are not available, you are not able to set yourself free, and only you can set yourself free. So meditate, meditate, meditate. This comes up almost every reading in some way, shape, or form. You're going to meditate, you're going to breathe, and you're going to learn how to go through your transformation. I have Reiki level 1 students, and not all the time, but sometimes a student will be excited to get their level 1, and there's always a transformation period for the first 30 days. Sometimes they get really, really sick, and I kind of warn them. I say there might be a physical detox, you're going to be flushing out and clearing, and this is the initiation, though, to laying hands. You're not being punished. It's not a cross to bear. This is your initiation to turning on the energy, the medicine in your hands, and learning to love yourself, learning self-love, and to practice healing on yourself first and foremost. It's learning how to receive from yourself and connect and channel that divine life force energy. So this is it, though. It's like asking for, and people do, they want their chakras to be open. They want to open their third eye right away and let me just get all spiritual right away and overnight. And that's fine. Depending on your karma, you might be able to flip the switch and you're la, in some divine space and able to hold that frequency. But what happens is that when you start shedding those layers, nicely, slowly, gently, in alignment with your higher good and the divinity of all for the highest good, is that there's a natural progression and it's doable. And sometimes it might feel like the volume is turned up and sometimes it might feel a little slower, but it's always going to be in alignment with your truth. When you're trying to push and pull and crack open the chakras and break open that pineal gland and I just want to see God and I just want to be, super spiritual and psychic and powerful, that can also bring on the tower where you're rushing it. So be patient with your spiritual practice. Your Kundalini is on the rise, and this week, if you have a spiritual practice, you're going to feel those thunderbolts of energy awakening through that spinal column. Those little things that are no longer needed or serve your path are going to be either gently released or a little bit more of a forced release, right? And sometimes we need to learn in that way where it's kind of like we get pushed instead of letting something go naturally. The universe kind of pushes us and we're like, oh yeah, I should have ditched that person, that place, that thing, and now I'm very clear on it. Okay, so we have a lot going on in the ways of ultimately what all this stuff is bringing us to is to be playful in the world, is to be able to do this, to be this in the world, to have the masculine, the feminine balance, to not give a F, and to be free. To be free. Set yourself free. And I know it's easy to say. It took me a long time. I walked with a lot of pain, and a lot of memory, and a lot of shame, and just all that stuff, right? And it seems like we all do. That's part of the initiation. But there is another side. There's you break, and actually it's not even another side. It's already in you, the truth, the love, the light. It's the peeling out and back of those aspects that are illusions, that are not true. And so that the truth of you is revealed, the powerful, mighty truth of you is revealed. And then it's learning how to relax and to be present and to walk without those shields of the past. So speaking of that, I'm going to be setting up free ebook giveaways and meditation downloads and stuff as we get closer to my launching later this year. And another book that I'm going to be launching is called Entering the Nowosphere, and it speaks all about this learning to transform. Now that we've learned how to transform, we've begun to really heal our life, and our life is changing, and now it's oh my God, I don't have those shields, I don't have all that stuff that used to be my buffer zone that I used to walk around in the world with to kind of protect me or to feel safe in the world. And now I'm without it. And how do I trust this? How do I move through the world? The book is full of metaphysical energy tools that you can put into practice, and it's all in alignment with the divine love and light of the universe. Never a force of any person, place, or things will. It's all for the highest good, and I'm so excited, and I look forward to sharing that with you. So please make sure you subscribe so you can stay in touch and in tune with all that juicy good news. So, here we go. This brings us to our final 3 cards, which are so Incredible. Okay, that's my fake French accent. So we have the lovers. Let's do the lovers first. Take a breath. A lot of people want love. You want to find your sacred other. You call it a twin flame, you call it a soul mate, a soul, twin flame, soul flame, whatever you call it. And that's the lovers. This is, again, another major arcana card. So this is powerful, this is up. And if you look at this card, down at the bottom, there's roses, beautiful love energy. There's this beautiful heart that is two people nuzzling, very close, almost kissing, mouths are open. And above it, it looks like the Sri Yantra and also the Merkaba energy. And then above that, again, there's these two beings, and they kind of have wings, and there's stardust in their hair. And then above them, there's this beautiful white light, and their energy kind of meets up at the top, and it's almost this rainbowy, kind of really astrally kind of colors at the top. Okay, so if you are not in a relationship, you are going to be invited to consider who you're ready to be now in a relationship. You're going to be meeting someone very, very special this week if you're single. And you're going to be invited to be your higher self in this connection. And I'm going to talk about if you're in a relationship or if you've been in a relationship and have separated. So there's going to be 3 little categories here, but they might all apply to us. So, in fact, they do. So what I'm offering, this is a card of maturity that goes with the Lover's card. And then there's one more card after that. So maturity means you're not who you used to be. The aura around this person's throat, third eye, and crown is fully activated. They are aware and suspended in a halo of love and light. And that's you. What you're being asked to do is, we all want love, we all want a lover, you want a boyfriend, a girlfriend, or whatever it is. And then it comes, and then you're like, oh, my heart is broken, right? We have all these highs and lows and ups and downs, and it's work being in a relationship. So this card is asking you to learn from what has happened in the past and use that mature wisdom as you bump into this new opportunity if you're single and you meet this person. If you don't want to rerun those patterns that you had in these past relationships, be conscious, be a conscious co-creator, right? This other card, the final card, is Beyond Illusion, another major arcana card. This third eye is activated. The wings of the butterfly have expanded, and it's very cosmic. It's in tune, again, with Source, with God Source, with your higher self. You are so tapped in and tuned in to the divine truth of you. Your mature version, your higher self version of yourself, as you move into this possible new relationship, this new attraction, this new chemistry, is going to be able to maneuver and navigate from a higher plane than you've ever been at before. And actually what I keep getting is there's going to be more than one opportunity to practice. I feel like this week you're practicing. You're practicing this new level of maturity in relation to the chemistry that you have with new people that you might meet, how to manage your Shakti, how to manage your libido, right? Maybe you've got a lot of sexual energy and it's really easy for it to ooze out everywhere. For some of us, it's going to be about maintaining it and keeping it with integrity and only extending it consciously to those people that we really feel we want to get a little juicy with, right? But not just like spilling all that juiciness and that love potion, if you will, your Shakti, your libido, your life force, your sexual energy all over everyone, everywhere. It's bringing that energy up, attuning to the third eye, attuning, again, my meditation, third eye pineal gland meditation, and going beyond the illusion of what has been your past. The past is done. You don't have to be hurt again, nor do you have to hurt anyone else again. You can elevate, you can evolve, you can come into that space of playfulness where you can flirt, you can have fun. You don't have to move in right away. You don't have to get married right away. Just be present. Enjoy the process. Remember, it's the journey, not the destination. So let's put this into thinking about if you are in a relationship. You're going to see, again, the roses, the lovers in the heart at the bottom, and then the higher lovers facing each other. And that speaks to the three levels. The first level being attraction, the physical, chemical attraction of like, ooh, I like it, baby, I like you, let's get to know each other more. And then as the relationship evolves, that energy moves up into the heart center, and it's like, oh, I love you, I really feel, I have feelings for this person, this feels really amazing, I really am activated in my heart and I love them. So you have the juiciness of the attraction, which becomes elevated into the heart. And then that third couple on the top, or that second couple on the top, represents the spiritual connection, that like, wow, I see you as spirit. Actually, I see that you are me, and I see that I am you. And not that two become one, but that together you experience love. Love always is, and what happens is you get to experience the presence of love together. And it's very different. The mature aspect of yourself knows that someone else does not complete you. The mature aspect of yourself knows, the part of you that meditates and that tunes into the higher self knows that you are already one and that all is one. And when you have that alignment and that attunement and you get together and you start to mix and merge and bump into people that you feel a little juiciness, a little tingle, a little opportunity to get to know them better maybe, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, okay, I can see my old patterns and maybe how I used to do things. And again, truly, if you want to move away from those old patterns and mature through yourself and your actions, your deeds, this is the exact time. This is the week to practice. This is going to be practice time, right? Whether the relationship becomes solid or not, you're practicing, right? You're on the journey of that, of be her now, be him now. If you want to be a kind, nice, honest, patient, loving, kind person, whether it's to friends or family or a potential love interest, be that now. Are you going to lie? Are you going to be honest? You know, what do you set up for yourself moving forward? The more authentic and truthful you are from the beginning, the more authentic and truthful the energy you're going to bring to yourself. Remember that Seinfeld's where George Costanza started doing everything as the opposite? Like he usually got coffee and a tuna on rye, and then he decided to have a cup of tea and a Swiss cheese sandwich or something like that, but he started doing everything opposite. And there was this hot chick at the diner, and he goes over and he talks to her and he tells her that he's unemployed and he lives with his parents and he's bald, and she's like, oh, tell me more. You know, because he was being honest. He's just like dropping the facade, and that's what you're invited to do. You're invited to just be true, just be yourself. You know that that's how you're going to draw and attract your more appropriate opposite to you. It's an opposite that will be more in balance and in harmony with who you are. It's like that term opposites attract, right? But there's always same qualities that bring us together, and here you're being asked to remember that the same qualities are that are represented by your attunement and your knowing that you are one with the universe. And that as you look into this person's eyes, they are you and you are them. It's deeply metaphysical, actually. It's very powerful, this spiritual realm, when it moves above the first two chakras, above the sexual energy and just the juiciness where you just feel attraction and you want to physically act on it, and it starts to move to the heart and then higher than that. And that's the opportunity this week. So, as well, if you've been in a long-term relationship, if you've been with someone, you've separated, you're thinking about them. All relationships go through these three levels. From the beginning, the physical attraction, the heart level attraction, that heart chemistry, and then that spiritual oneness, the actual experiencing of love, of being in the presence of love together, consciously. So what level are you at in this relationship? If you've been in a relationship, you're in one, you've been in one, you're separated, but you're still thinking of that other person, and it's still kind of healing. You know, is it in the physical? Is it in the heart? Is it up here? And all relationships go through a cycle of being in one or the other. And ultimately what happens is as we begin to really master with maturity and go beyond the illusion that we are even a body at all, is we begin to inhabit and encompass all three levels of these qualities with a sacred other, with a beshared, with a beloved, with a lover, with a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a husband, a wife, whatever it is for you. And we begin to experience all three levels at the same time, where it can be juicy and sexy and sultry and flirty, and also just full of true heart love and a divine spirit connection. And that's playfulness, and that's what you're invited to be with this week. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for sharing, for commenting, for subscribing. My name is Tuesday May Thomas. Stop by my website if you have a moment. And I thank you. Blessings and namaste.